Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I have a return guest on. Her name is Lisa Breece Linke. She is Director of Operations at PAS Family Advocacy. And the last time she was on, which was season 3, episode 115, back on September 26, 2022, we discussed the corrupt family court and the judge's insurance policies. And we're going to discuss that a little bit deeper into our topic today. So I welcome you back, Lisa. And how are you doing?
Thank you for having me back, Marianne. I am doing great. And it's good to be here again to pick up where we left off on this very important issue with hopefully teaching parents of some sort of relief methods or research strategies other than filing motions,
Mhm.
going after the insurance.
So if a parent wants to go after their bonds or the insurances, why not call their own insurance company and file a complaint that harm has been done?
Sure. I mean, you could do that, but it would probably not be taken as serious as when you submit the proper, I guess, FOIA request. Or I also submitted with the Freedom. It's the Freedom of Information Act and then the Sunshine Act as well. And if anyone needs to see a copy of this or what it looks like, I'll share. But with that, the the state actors are obligated to hand over their insurance information, their bond information, because it's public record. But if you're just inquiring, saying this person caused me harm, it's going to just, in one ear and out the other.
Mhm. Um, if you can, okay, so let's say you do call the insurance company and say, "Hey, I've got all of this," and they're asking you, when was the date of the first incident? And then you have more evidence of what they did to you, and then they want you to send that through, which I did. And she seemed to take me seriously.
Mhm.
So I'm going to do a follow-up call, as we talked about earlier, and see what has happened with that. But a motion, you were talking about a motion to file prior to all this?
Well, a lot of people think that relief can be granted in federal, and God bless them if they do have success in that route. But when we're filing motions, we're basically asking the court to do something, and we're basically the court's master if we really look at it that way. We shouldn't be asking our master to do something. We should be demanding that.
Mhm.
And so if anyone wants to take a chance of filing a motion and having it be denied and all that hard energy and effort they put into it, it's really frustrating. This is again where that legal abuse comes into play. It's just not worth it. And then federal court, again, these motions can be denied for simple grammatical errors or administrative errors. So
Mhm.
why take that chance again when we know a state actor is causing us harm? They're insured so they don't cause us harm. So if we can retrieve that information, file a claim with insurance and let them handle it.
Right, and these state actors not only are they judges, they're caseworkers, they're even the psychologists that were involved in your case.
Yes, I mean, I really didn't have a psychologist involved in my case. I had a lot of incompetent professionals not doing proper diagnoses. I was bringing all this evidence to them. They were never listening that it was intimate partner violence in the DSM-5. They never referred to their own diagnostic tools. So with that, a claim for it was the APA violations 2.01, 3.04, and 9.01. Basically that's been filed. Nothing ever came about it, but it's on record. but the state agents were forewarned. They were served with judicial notices. I personally have not received any information. I haven't sought out any insurance information in my case, only for others that I am helping.
Mhm.
I'm exhausted now. Layla's home and we're healing. And I'm thinking, if my daughter wasn't home still and I was still going through all that horrible trauma, I absolutely would proceed in that route with the insurance and any relief. But in this time frame where Layla and I are at, it's just peace is more important.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's hard when you don't have any justice at all. Uh, Everyone says, "Well, that just take the case to federal court." And that is just like, I would not ever recommend federal court to
Right.
anyone, especially as a pro se, because they're really not gonna take you seriously. And in my case, the judge admitted he did not look at my exhibits, and he just ruled them irrelevant.
Wow.
And so then, like you said, you have to go through all that energy to take it to the appellate court to have them pull the same thing.
Right.
It's just very frustrating. People need justice. They need remedy. They don't need it should not take 12 years.
Gosh, no. And that's the sad part is when we, file a motion, they'll set the court date. And these things they just keep continuing in these again administrative courts of commerce. It'll go on for years. And meanwhile, you have a son or daughter crying themselves to sleep every night, longing for their natural biological, mother or father, and the courts don't care. Hence why we have so many teens now with anxiety, that are cutting themselves, that are promiscuous, doing drugs. They're from these broken homes. Judges don't care. CPS cares more about putting them in residential and medicating them. And again, this is all more money for the state. And if people could see clearly that the government does not have our best interest, we've got
Mm-mm.
a few ethical players left in this system. But I would say 98% is a cesspool of racketeering frauds. If men and women, mothers and fathers stand up to CPS state agents and say, hell no, you're not taking my offspring. You're not coming into my property to do an investigation on hearsay allegations. Know your rights, know that they are insured, know that they are all under a political subdivision. The police, CPS, the courts, they all work for profit. So as a man and woman, we can't play this game for profit with our families.
I'm wondering, when I had the CPS caseworker at my door, I just should have said, "I'm not contracted with you. Please leave," and
Uh,
just close the door in her face. That's what if I could go back into 2014, I would have done that had
and
I
that's
known.
because we don't know what we don't know. We think that they have all this power and authority. We're raised to, respect law enforcement or anyone in those governmental positions. But once we know, then we can change the game or the dialogue.
Mhm. Yeah, they just, I don't know, like, how this would work if they had a judge's warrant and they came with 3 policemen. It's like, what would a parent do then? At least, I mean, that didn't happen to me. Man, I don't know what you'd do then if you said, "I'm not contracted with you," and you're videotaping them, the whole thing, because they always tell you to videotape them.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. They have no lawful authority to come into your home or on your property without a warrant. So you can kindly tell them to leave and come back with a warrant. But if per se they do come back with a warrant, then one should comply so they don't get arrested or even physically hurt. So,
Yeah, it's just not right. Everything I just think they should be abolished. Family court, CPS, because all of these rotten players and like you said, there are a few good ones left. There are, God bless them. Okay.
So sorry, there's
That's okay.
kids running around.
So, yeah, I mean, parents just don't know enough, and they don't know until it happens to them. They're not listening to other people's stories. That's I think what a big problem is they're not aware of what could happen, God forbid.
Right, and that's the sad part, I think, with our society. People, a lot. My generalization is a lot of people think, oh, if CPS or family courts involved, you must have done something wrong. People don't understand that this is happening to doctors, educators on simple false allegations. You could piss off your neighbor and they could call and say, I heard them beating their child. And then you have CPS at your door threatening to take your child. And especially the other thing is they really bully the parents if the child has a diagnosis or is like on the autism spectrum or on medication. They'll find fault in that parent's treatment plan, that they're not properly taking care of their child with a diagnosis. But again, the state gets way more money for children put into this system with these diagnoses. So I don't know what it's going to take other than every parent being as loud as they can to understand CPS agents don't have a lawful authority
Mhm.
whatsoever.
You know, I hear some parents, I see them calling them social workers. It's like, are you sure they're a social worker or are they just an inept caseworker? Because how do you know that's their degree? They can come into your house and say they're anything.
Right, and that's the thing. These degrees can be checked with the Board of Behavior Health and Science,
Mhm.
and if you have a so-called caseworker, you can always go up the chain of command, contact their supervisor, and even a lot of these CPS organizations, agencies, they have a civil rights division that a lot of people don't know about. And if you make these civil rights claims under the color of law, there is a color of law form, and try to get oversight on your case. Things can be done. The more pressure we put on them and more oversight with many eyes, not just one person, they're more inclined to comply, because they don't want to be told one.
Mhm. Okay, so DCF will say, this whole big alphabet soup. They would have a civil rights claim division,
Yes, I
and
know. The DCFS in Los Angeles, they have their own civil rights, and I helped a father file a color of law form with them, but unfortunately, his little girl's already been adopted out, so that basically that's on record per se. If he does take that to federal, he may actually, because his little girl's been adopted. But
yeah, that's sickening in itself that they can just terminate a parent's rights and sometimes not even tell the parent there's a hearing taking place.
right, this happens all the time. And the other thing is, attorneys, judges, police, they have a database called Nexus Lexis that they actually use to target minority families. Hence why there's so much seizure of offspring from hospitals. So again, like, I don't know, again, there's so many different things that if parents understand. First of all, once you have your offspring, your child at the hospital, then you're in the state's jurisdiction. When your son or daughter is enrolled in school, you're in the state's jurisdiction. Hence why CPS can go in and do whatever the hell they want. So what I've gone to the extreme of, I carry an affidavit of status with me. It mentions me and my daughter, how we're not under the political subdivision, blah, blah, blah. So basically, they don't have any authority over me. And it's sad that I have to carry this with me. But I suggest to every parent to unincorporate themselves, fix with the Secretary of State the birth certificate for your offspring, for yourself, and take back your power as a man and woman under God's law, God's authority.
And that also would mean taking your name out of caps, like, hey, they have everything in all caps, your like, let's say your motion or whatever, everything's all caps versus all caps.
Right.
You know, someone may ask, "Okay, how do you do that? How do you get that affidavit?"
Well, David Straight is a good educator on this, and so, take his knowledge, take what you wish, and then do your own research. He does have an affidavit of status out there that people can refer to, and with that, I never, if I'm filing something before, even towards the end, I would never put my name in all caps, because that's not me. And
Mhm.
even I would also sign sui juris or woman, and just really not play their game, and be mindful even of like certain legalese words such as child, best interest of the child. So if you're going to go this route of more common law, changing your status, just know what you're talking about. Black's Law Dictionary is a good reference point, to look some of these words up in, and you will find that they mean the exact opposite in the court's eye. So you really want to be mindful of legalese when doing common law.
Definitely. I noticed that when I was reading the Black's Law, I think we were even talking about this possibly in our last podcast, but it is like double speak. It's like, there were terms that I heard, and now I'm reading in Black's Law Dictionary. Like, how did it get this so far out of control that they've changed and switched around, twisting words?
Right. Legalese. I mean, I'm in my first semester of law school, and it's very disappointing. My professors have, been contracted by the government for family and juvenile court. And one, my contracts professor is teaching me that they use common law in these courts. They don't. And I tried to let her know, no, family court and juvenile courts, all contracts. And when you bring common law in there, they get really pissed off. And basically, she said that there's a statute that overrided like any federal thing. And it's just really hard to. She also said that whoever pays you is retaining you. So who cares about anyone else? If they're paying you, you have a job to do. It's really gross. They don't
Mhm.
teach law in law school.
One of my friends said, we were nurses together. She said they go to law school to learn how to lie.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's slimy. But
Yeah, it
with this though, I feel like at times the only way to create change is from within. I have no desire to litigate. If I finish this degree, once I finish this degree, it's more to create change to tackle the bar and bring more awareness to such the level of fraud with the bar. Hence the name in all caps,
mhm.
corporations, why they don't have to follow, why they don't follow the ethical code of conduct. Because corporation, you have a corporation and a living soul. Like, you're basically dealing with banking and you think law. It's two totally different things.
I just did a podcast with Ricardo Collins this past week. I think it was Thursday. And it was very interesting because we were talking about this same thing and taking your name out of the caps. And I think you put a hyphen, or maybe not put a hyphen between your first name and your last name. I can't
Semicolon.
possibly.
Yeah, it's a semi.
Yeah, this is just, that was fascinating, and now we're talking about this affidavit of status. Is this something you can write up yourself and take it to a
I'm sorry, there are kids in the background, and I something about yes, you definitely have to get the affidavit notarized. Absolutely. Is that what you
Yes. I mean, is this something a parent can write up themselves? Or
They can, and I can share. I can email it to you. You can share it, but again, you can find this online. David Straight has it. There's an
okay.
affidavit of status out there, and not everything will apply. And I also, again, please do your research. You can't just file this and not know what you're talking about. People
Mhm.
like because that's how some parents can get arrested. Um, if they're bringing common law into a court, you have to file notice of special appearance, basically that you're coming to appear as the living man or woman, not under their legal fiction. So it can get complex.
So that would be different from an entry of appearance. When you file, say, a lawsuit, you have to enter your entry of appearance.
Yeah, this is a notice of special appearance.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so those are 2 different things. Yeah. See, no one would know this stuff until we talk about it and get this word out.
Yeah, I had no idea either, but when I did file the notice of special appearance, the weird thing is my judge or judicial referee Daniel Belsky at the time, they did this weird ceremony honoring the flag, almost like because common law was being brought into the court and not one statute was cited that whole hearing. It was pretty miraculous.
Huh. I even wonder if these judges honor their own judicial canons.
No, I mean, no, I think some do, some do. There's one in San Diego that I've seen, he's very honorable. But the rest, if they're incorporated and they can get away with everything, and hence why they have like the immunity, they can do whatever they want, make biased rulings, use their opinion, make, their opinions, thinking this mother's crazy, this father's crazy, and rule against them. They're not supposed to do that. And even in their articles of incorporation for when they become incorporated, it clearly states that they're not to practice like that law aspect from
Mhm.
the bench.
So when you went into law school, you thought it would be, on the up and up, would you say? Or normal schooling? You didn't it came to you as a shock that they're teaching you something that goes against the grain of morality?
My professors, they're amazing women, but I think what they're teaching us is not what I have witnessed in the courtroom, not what a lot of parents have witnessed in the courtroom. Um, I, I just, it's really dumbfounding. It's been disheartening. I can't tell you, again, I'm only in my first semester, and there's been several times when I said, I don't know if this is going to be for me, because it's just disheartening that you have parents that in my class, students, they're not aware of the family court corruption. They're not aware of all of the unethical practices that are happening. So I don't know what I thought, but I didn't think that it's slimy. It's
Mhm.
slimy.
Sure. I mean, when you retain an attorney, this is what happened to me is I retained this fellow, and we were talking at his desk. I was telling him what was going on. And, I said something like, "Well, what do you wanna talk about?" Because, I mean, I had things written out as to what I was going to tell him, and he kinda said, "Whatever you wanna talk about." Kinda like, didn't know what to think of that. Okay, so I just went through my whole chronological events of hell and told him that, and then that evening, I get a phone call at 6:30 with him screaming on the phone that he can't help me unless I have $30,000.
Wow.
And I said, "Well, I'm just trying to explain." I was calm and rational as a nurse would be when someone's not doing well in the ICU or whatever. And I said, "I'm just trying to explain to you what has happened to my career and, my financial status. It's only fair to you that you know my financial status."
Mhm.
And he was I don't know, maybe he had a bad day. I don't know, but I've never gotten a phone call from an attorney at 6:30 at night
Mhm.
screaming at me, at the top of his lungs.
That's repulsive. Yeah. I'm glad you didn't retain him.
Unfortunately, I had to. I
Ooh.
was yeah, my back was up against the wall because the lawyer I had previously withdrew from a case that was an emergency petition, and she did it of course, she does it at 4:50 PM on Friday to say she's withdrawing. Why,
Yeah.
I don't know. There was poor communication. I was not nagging her, nothing like that. Um, all I said to her when we were in an attorney's meeting with the opposing side, I said, "Look," I said, "no one's gonna get full custody because it's all shared parenting." And she
Mm.
goes, "No, shush, shush, shush." She was shushing me.
Wow.
And I'm, like, sitting here going, "What?" I don't know, I thought I was stating the truth because because we had been 50-50 for 10 years. I don't know why we're doing this now.
Right.
So, she did that, and I called one of my nursing friends, and she says, "Oh, pick that guy. He's the one who screwed me over. He's pretty good."
Oh.
So, I called up that office, and they said, "Yeah, we'll see you on Monday." And, because the, emergency petition wasn't gonna take place until Tuesday. And, he explained to me that his underling would have to go in there with me on Tuesday to stand before the judge, and, because he had to be in court. I mean, I know I caught them off guard. It's not like we had time to plan this,
Mhm.
and we were successful, at least in that on that day,
Mhm. Mhm.
but you just don't know when you're going into this. When you get an emergency petition and then you have an attorney withdraw immediately, what is the problem? And
Right.
I was telling this attorney, this male attorney, I don't know why she would do this. I don't know. I said, this is what happened. I told him what had happened throughout the whole relationship I had with this female attorney. And then it took him 2 months to say, "I believe everything you said. Everything you said about her was true."
Mm. Well, you see, there's again that performance bond, bid bond, and payout bond. So maybe that attorney knew something, or who knows what goes on behind the scenes.
Mhm.
But it is one big racket. And again, when we are hiring an attorney, we're basically telling the court that we are incompetent to stand before the court. And yeah, we are with statutes and codes because we don't speak code, but fair justice comes from real law, common law for the
Mhm.
common folk. But again, payout bond, bid bond, and performance bond. That's what keeps my mind with your attorney dropping out.
Yeah, I don't know. It was strange because that day we were sitting there, she did walk in to give my new attorney an update. God
Oh.
knows what she was telling her.
Mm.
But, when she came in, she looked at me and kind of smiled. I'm thinking, "What? You put me under this emotional duress
Mhm.
of trying to find someone within 10 minutes before their law firm closed."
That's too much. It's not normal what we have to go through. All the heightened, emotions, the highs and lows. I mean, what it does to our central nervous system, anxiety, CPTSD, even after the court stuff is over, CPTSD is still present.
Mhm.
So again, so much harm is being caused across this nation to so many parents, yourself, myself, that I really do feel like the only way to go to start making change is if we can file somehow, hold one of them accountable at a time, at like accountability, 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 and then maybe we can just be that change that help, like, you know what I mean, that can create that path to say this is the new remedy route. I don't know.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, instead of suing 4 parties at once, say in federal court, which is somehow you're gonna end up in there anyway,
Right.
if you want a large amount of money. This is what I was told. If you go to federal court, you could get hundreds of thousands of dollars if you win. But if you go through the lower court, I think they have a cap of, say, I don't know, maybe 15, 20,000 is all you're gonna get. I don't know. I mean, every
Well,
state's different.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off
That's
there.
okay.
For the insurance, from what I gather, they would want to settle out of court and not have it be prolonged like any insurance claim. And then from what I gather, we can also collapse these um, bonds so they can't practice anymore.
Mhm.
That's when there's a civil rights advocate in California, and he's just amazing. His name is Wendell. That's what he's up to, trying to collapse some of the bonds after he files the claim. So we'll see how successful he is, but
Yeah, that is fascinating. A lot of people have been fascinated with this and have been contacting me for about the last year about these bonds and these insurance policies. These people, I think, aren't they like malpractice insurance policies that these lawyers carry?
yes, negligence, malpractice,
Yes.
and negligence even like it's torturous, it's infliction, torturous interference, all of it, whatever you want to call it, it's a tort claim. And the remedy for those is monetary compensation. But again, I know a lot of us, we just want our babies home. We just want the pain to stop. But if you can hold them accountable in some form, and it be money, then why not? You know.
Hmm.
But it's a tort. It's a tort claim. Negligence, malpractice. This person caused you harm.
Right. Um, the thing is, there's that intentional infliction of emotional duress. That's also a tort.
Yes, yes. We were just going over that in my torts class last week, and I had brought it to the professor's attention. You know, is 18 USC 241 242 torturous interference or a tort claim? And she said no. So deprivation of rights under the color of law would not be considered a tort claim, she said.
Oh,
But
no.
right, that's what, again, it's very disheartening and disappointing. But I've seen some parents, you know, file tort claims against the other parent in civil court and, you know, have success. But again, you're just having more conflict for that son or daughter,
Mhm.
you know, between the parents. If you can just remove the other parent, try to keep the family unity in whole, and attack the people that know better that
Mhm.
caused harm.
The thing is, some parents will try to get an attorney to take a federal court case, and nobody wants to go in there. Nobody does. They don't wanna go in there. Um, even if you have a claim that is there, you've got the evidence, it's all in their lap, and they still won't do it.
Mhm, mhm.
And if you don't know what you're doing there in federal court, I mean, you do your best.
Right. Good luck. Yeah, no.
I don't know what to say. But some people have done well. There was a case where it was a reverend, in Pennsylvania. He just finished his sermon, and he also ran a school.
Mhm.
So, of course, he's approached by 2 caseworkers that said, "We're charging you with child sexual abuse," and he freaked out, totally freaked out, and in the meantime, he had lost this went around, of course. He
Mhm.
lost parishioners, people pulled kids out of his school. Anyway, he got an attorney, in town, and the attorney took it right to federal court. He didn't go to the state court, he just took it right in there, got a jury, won.
Love it. Yep.
But he didn't win much.
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
his reputation, and the attorney said it very eloquently when he said it's like having, a cup of cream and you put ink in it and you stir it and you're now trying to get the ink out of the cream and you can't. That person's reputation is ruined forever.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. If people would just knock it off, stop the evil, stop the lies, stop the hurt, hurt people, this world would be a better place. But whatever you can find relief in, I think the path of least resistance is the best way to go.
Mhm,
And again, it just leads me back to this. Okay, I didn't know that these people were insured when I was going through all of this.
mhm,
Um, I would hear indemnity insurance. I didn't understand fully what it meant. But now, I mean, why not just skip all the other nonsense and go straight to, if a state actor is causing you harm, say, okay, I demand your indemnity insurance information now, or send them the FOIA request to get that, to have, you'll let them know that you mean business, basically.
mhm,
And then file claim. If they cause harm, if they kidnapped your offspring, absolutely file claim.
mhm. Or perjured themselves on the stand, which maybe you can or cannot prove because perjury, they say, is hard to prove.
Yeah, I think that would be more of like a criminal matter. That's what I'm thinking, because people lie all the time in family court and juvenile court with no accountability.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I don't know if I had told you this, but that movie, The Judge, did I tell you about that movie, The Judge?
yeah, you had mentioned it. I get to mention it.
Where the son tells his father, "Dad," and his father was a judge, "Dad, everybody lies on the witness stand." That was like that part just hit me.
Right.
And I'm thinking, "Yeah, they all get away with it." You know, it's amazing what takes place on a witness stand.
Yes. Yep. And for the most part, remember, we have a lot of actors. We've got state actors. They're all acting, and we come in there as a real person with emotion, dealing with actors, and they're lying on us, and we're like, "That's not true." And it's not. Once we realize that they're all acting, it helps us to separate the emotion.
Mhm, mhm. Well, most definitely. I don't wanna take up your whole afternoon. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I really want to encourage parents definitely to just educate yourselves on the laws, lawful versus legal, to understand that the state agents, they don't have a lawful authority. If anyone is contemplating going pro se or sui juris, I strongly encourage you to do so. There's a lot of just groups that can help you, that can share content with you as you're learning to represent yourself in court. But don't, if you don't, if you can stay away from hiring an attorney, please do so, because it's
Mhm.
all the name in all caps, your corporation
Right, and you're gonna get yelled at anyway,
then.
like
Right.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Brutal.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you so much for popping on, and I'll have you on again too. I know you're in school, so I won't be bothering you a whole lot, but don't jump off. Slam the Gavel's a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. Please join us again here with Lisa Breece Linke in the future and other exciting guests. And I thank you again for popping on. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Marianne. It's always a pleasure sitting down talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.